Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Some days are just great days, and today is one of them. Had a visit from a good friend of mine here in the Rogue Valley by the name of Jim. He might be a bigger chainsaw nut than I am. I know he's bought out more shops and part saws. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many. But he came by and we chatted, and he had a McCulloch Double Eagle 80 that he wants me to do some work on, and in trade he dropped off this 530N Homelite. Now this would be, if I remember correctly, the third direct drive saw, or one man saw that Homelite produced. There was the 20 MCS, the 26 LCS, and then I believe this guy came along next with a production run, I think from about 53 to 54, maybe 55. So probably not a huge amount of these things out there still. You know, they were bought and used for one purpose, and that was to cut wood. So this one's obviously used quite extensively, and it's been sitting around for a long time. One piece I'm extraordinarily happy is still on the saw is this starter cover, and the clips are intact, and they feel rather strong. So a couple little minor dings in there that I can ball peen hammer out before this thing gets paint, which this is destined for paint, no question about that. The cylinder cover, spin this a little bit, isn't screwed in place. We're missing the spark plug covers, so I've been making a list of things that I'll be looking for. Spark plug covers one of them, a new wire and boot, because this is the extension that made a spark plug wire. That is probably the worst idea on the planet, unless you really want to shock yourself. I was able to spin this over quickly though and see that it has spark, so that's one huge thing out of the way right there. It's got the original tag, needs some cleanup. This is never going to look as nice as it did new, but the rest of the saw is going to get cleaned up thoroughly. Don't know if the video will pick it up, but there's part of the original muffler element in there. I'll have to source that as well, but the muffler housing, everything is there. Still got a sprocket on it. I'm going to assume that that's a half-pitch sprocket, but I'll have to go to the manual and see. It could be as big as 9/16. Missing the chain adjuster assembly, so that'll be another piece to source. On the business side of the saw, you can see this was a belt drive saw. Make sure that camera's picking everything up. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So a belt similar to one of today's wide timing belts went from the clutch drum, and around here this is the sprocket drive. So it just literally what it said, belt drive saw. So that's going to have to be sourced. There was a gentleman back in New York that was reproducing these. I'm hoping he still has some, as I'll definitely need one. Also, the cover is missing. I might have a source for that. That's one of the fun things about getting an old saw like this. When there's stuff missing, you know you're going to be spending some time on eBay and Google and just anywhere you can possibly look to try and find the parts. This has, that was brilliant, this has the pistol grip with a thumb throttle up here, and actually that throttle's not too stiff like I expected it to be. Appears to still be an air filter in there. Get your fuel on and off. And I haven't even popped the cap yet. I don't know if there'll be any residue in here or not. Bone dry, and it doesn't stink, so that's a great sign. I don't see a bunch of corrosion down in there either. So anyway, this is a pretty neat old Homelite chainsaw. One other piece that it'll need is a starter cable, and I didn't mean rope, I did mean cable. These old ones actually had a steel cable with a ball on the end that indexed down in there, and away you went. Finding that might be a little difficult. They're not the easiest to come by, but all in good time. This thing's going to go on the shelf. I've got my list of parts, and one of these days we'll be doing a video with this thing all painted up.